Thanks, Matt, and welcome back to another edition of Clear Path, your roadmap to health and wealth. I'm your host, Al Waller. Now, if you took a poll asking people if they could cease indulging in their unhealthy habits, I suspect the response would be largely in favor. But the question is how? Well, joining us again today is Mihaela Vince, the public health expert for nonprofit Transamerica Institute, and she's been working on some strategies for breaking unhealthy habits. So to start with, Mihaela, how do these unhealthy routines evolve in the first place?
Great question, Al. The human brain is wired to create routines and habits, behaviors that trigger the reward centers in our brain, as well as the repetition of a specific behavior can really help solidify unhealthy habits in our routines. The good news is that unhealthy habits are learned behaviors, and of course, because of that, you can change or unlearn them.
Well, that makes perfect sense, especially during the lockdowns. Some people have been caught in that repetition even more so than normal, whatever normal passes for these days, right? But now that infection rates are thankfully receding and states begin to open up, do you have any methods for how people can ditch these unhealthy habits permanently?
Yeah, according to the experts at Harvard Medical School, identifying the 3 R's is a good first step to kicking unhealthy habits. The 3 R's, that stands for the reminder, the routine, and the reward.
Well, I got to tell you, the only 3 R's I was familiar up until now were reading, writing, and arithmetic. But all kidding aside, could you please walk us through each of the 3 R's?
Absolutely. The reminder is anything that might trigger an unhealthy habit. Let's say passing the donut shop every day on your way to work. The routine is the habit itself, such as stopping by that donut shop every day. And the reward is the benefit that you receive from the action. For instance, eating a delicious donut daily.
So to break an unhealthy habit, we need to identify what triggers the routine. Well, then how do you recommend staying on track to break the habit?
That's correct. Identifying what establishes the routine itself is an important part of changing it. Two helpful strategies for breaking unhealthy habits are focusing on why you want to change and, of course, starting small so that you don't overwhelm yourself.
Got it. I get it. Baby steps initially. And I can work with that because when you think of it, breaking an unhealthy habit, at the onset can seem overwhelming. And in my case, many years ago, I focused on, trying to quit cigarettes. And, I had to do it, by breaking it down, not smoking in my car, in the house, or in the office. Eventually I strung the time together and got off of it. So starting small can really help achieve that larger and ultimate goal in the long run, right?
Right. And in the example that we talked about earlier, that person could start out small by making it a goal to stop at the donut shop only on Fridays. That way, they're easing out of the routine and working towards breaking the unhealthy habit.
Exactly. Taking small steps, or in your example, small bites, may help motivate you to stay consistent and ultimately successful. So, Mihaela, any additional advice for those out there having a hard time sticking to their goals?
Yeah, getting support from friends or family is incredibly important when trying to break unhealthy habits. If you're having trouble sticking to your goals, try seeking support from those around you.
Absolutely. Now, any final thoughts you'd like to share before we conclude?
The experts at Mayo Clinic share insights for breaking an unhealthy habit at mayoclinic.org/change an unhealthy habit. Yes, you can. Here's how. Also, remember that you can always change your goals to make them more realistic for you.
Mihaela, always a pleasure to have you, and thanks again for your insights. And you've been tuned to another episode of Clear Path, your roadmap to health and wealth. Until the next time, this is Al Waller on WYPR, your NPR news station. Thanks for listening.